Oh, hello, everybody. Well, welcome to another Sunday service. And I'm delighted to say that this evening we are joined by Will Packard from DBMK. I'm hoping we'll also be joined by Ilya Solobov as well at some stage, but we'll carry on as we are. Will, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you very much for having me.
So I'm just trying to do the echo cancellation. There we go. DBMK. What's the story behind that then?
Well, about 5 years ago, I was making. We have this like modelling group. We meet up a couple of times in the summer every year, and I was bemoaning the fact that there was no decent 48 scale Scimitar. And I got so strident about it. Effectively, it would say, "Well, why don't you go and sort it out?" And so it became rather kind of like put up or shut up. And I think there's a proverb that says that the hardest step on any journey is the first one. And it was like a case of, okay, well, how do we do it? And then it was I talked to people who I knew, Jeffrey Kubiak from Hypersonic. A few others, Ilya as well, who's been involved in Olymp and Copper State in the past, and that really kicked it off. And it was about getting access to the airframe, getting the scanning sorted out, and then the first major thing that we did was scan the Solent Sky Scimitar right at the end of November in 2021, and that was it. And then we're off, and then you just kind of like. You just deal with one problem as all the problems as they arise, one at a time.
Now, your first release has been the Sea Fury. Good response to it, hasn't it?
Well, it's such a great aircraft, really. It's in many ways it's the ultimate piston engine single seat or single engined single seat piston engine fighter. Really attractive, lots of schemes, lots of use worldwide, quite a compact airframe, but really, really attractive as well as a subject. And we got access to the airframe at Navy Wings to scan at the end of 22. And it just seemed to be absolutely the right thing to do. There were 4 aircraft we were going to do at first: the Hornet, the Sea Fury, the Scimitar, and the F-11F. And all of those are really coming along now very well, if not about to be released.
Yeah, because you're doing a launch for the Sea Fury in Yeovil next month, aren't you?
Exactly, in front of the airframe that we scanned. Navy Wings have been extremely good to us and allowing us to host the launch event there in front of the real thing. And Navy Wings is a great organisation. It's an absolute fascinating hangar. It's absolutely full of treasures, and it was great fun spending. I think we spent a day scanning that and a couple of other airframes they had there back in 22, and it was the scan came out really, really well, and so it was like off we went, we've learned a lot along the way. We had a very good designer on the Sea Fury, and I think I built it. And it's a really nice kit to build, quite detailed, quite a few parts, but it's done sensibly. And we actually went through the design a couple of times to kind of reduce the part count by combining parts together where we could.
No, absolutely. Sea Fury it's a beautiful aeroplane. It's just one of my favourites. And being a naval aeroplane, of course, you can fold the wings, which I always think makes for a much more interesting model.
Exactly. And as we found out after we'd actually tooled the aircraft, that when you fold the wings on a Sea Fury, both the ailerons cant out by 6 degrees. It's really cool. When you look at it, it's just like, that is so cool. But unfortunately, we had to then go and adjust the tooling, which was not cheap. And it meant that you've got, when you look at the kit, you'll have some tails of 500-pound bombs, but not the 500-pound bombs themselves or the bodies, because they were sacrificed to make space for the ailerons on the weapon sprue, which is why when you buy a Hornet, you'll find that you've got Sea Fury ailerons or lower halves to them in the kit.
Well, you mentioned Hornet. We've got the box art, which I do believe this is going to be your next release, isn't it?
Yeah. So literally, I've been setting up the workroom to pack the kits today. They're all ready to go. We're waiting for just the. We were at Plastech on Friday, and we watched the Hornet clear parts coming off the machine, coming out of the tools. So we picked those up. We don't quite have enough of the weapon sets yet. They're also high pressure because they're shared with the Sea Fury, but that should be, that's imminent, and it is literally just about to come out. So we'll be looking to send those out in the UK probably next week.
And this is one of the molds for the Sea Fury. Is that yes. At Plastech?
That's at Plastech. It was great when we were down there. We had the opportunity to talk to the technicians who were setting the machines up. By background, I'm an engineer, so it was like really interesting to find how they go about doing it. That's the wing sprue you can see there. That kind of like bluey green color on the block on the left is the corrosion inhibitor that was put on to protect the mole while it was in transit. It's like a form of oil, like waxy oil. That's actually comes off quite easily, and it is interesting. So you start off basically putting white plastic through, because that is it's the kind of like in its rawest form, because the dye sometimes can affect the flow, and they start off at a very, very low pressure to see what fills first, and they gradually increase the pressure, so you see exactly which bits you have to watch out for, potentially as short shots. It was absolutely fascinating to see. And the tools arrived a couple of weeks ago, and they're definitely and I think about half of them have been run by Friday, and they'll be cracking through the rest of them this week. But it's fantastic to see. As you can see, they're quite large blocks of metal. Each one's about half a ton of steel.
Yes. Yes, I know from personal experience that these are hefty things. They're not they have to be put into position using block and tackle, don't they? Yeah, in fact, you can probably see on the top there the great big lifting ring on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Really chunky bit. So it's great to see that the tooling company's done a really good job with them. Mark at Plastech's really pleased in terms of the actual how the parts are coming off. There are a couple of issues with how the with the water connections, but just working through those. It's kind of teething troubles. So this is the Hornet. This is a test production by Brett Green, that will soon be on hyperscale. And you can see that it's it gives an idea. It's quite a big aircraft, the Hornet. As you can see, it goes together quite well, but it is limited run, so it's not a shake and bake kit. You've got to pay attention to the mating surfaces and do a little bit of fitting before you apply glue. But other than that, it works really well.
Fabulous looking aeroplane, though. It's you can see the Mosquito lineage in it, but it just looks. I always thought the Mosquito had a certain elegance to it. The Hornet just has this kind of brutishness to it. It's like a Westland Whirlwind on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's quite fine. The fuselage is really quite small. If you compare it to, I'm making a old Hasegawa Hellcat at the moment, and I built this at the same time over Christmas, the test build, and the Hellcat's the fuselage is much bigger than the Hornet, But then the Hornet's got these two big engines at the front. Both of them are putting out the same horsepower as a Hellcat, or the R2800 in the Hellcat. So it's a fantastic machine, really. And the kit itself, because it's limited run, the plastic's a bit thicker because it has to let the plastic flow at a lower pressure. So you have to make the parts a little bit thicker. So it's really solid. When you pick it up, it's appreciably heavier than the Sea Fury.
We've got some comments coming in here. There we go. People floating ideas to you already, Will. Russell Taylor says a 30-second scale Sea Harrier FRS-1 would be
that would be done. Yeah, I could quite see that happening. I mean, the thing is that we haven't scanned one. We have scanned bits of a Harrier for someone else. In fact, we have scanned a Harrier for someone, but a Harrier 2. But yeah, I mean that would be very nice indeed. And it's a nice size for a in 30-second scale. It has to be said.
I don't like to use the phrase license to print money, but so many color schemes with the FRS-1. And the beauty of the FRS-1 is that pretty much one version. There aren't that many kind of detail kind of changes to it. So you can that could run and run and run. Richard Graham says, DH. I try not to do that Kenneth Williams, but DH Hornet, Mr. Horn. And Nick Brown says, so looking forward to seeing the Hornet in flesh or plastic, so to speak. James Milne says, Eric Brown loved the Hornet. Russell Taylor has a question here. He says, are DBMK doing the Hornet in 1/48?
We're seriously considering it. We're seriously considering it. It's
your competition, Will, is the trumpeter kit.
it's.
Go on, Chris.
We spent a lot of time getting it right. So we licensed the CAD model from Arthur Bentley, and Arthur's done a fantastic job. It's like labour of love for about 30 years. He's been working on it. But then we did some primary source research with David Collins, who's been unbelievably helpful. And he's the guy who built the full-size Hornet cockpit. So we literally were working out tailplane spans and various other bits and pieces, because it's surprising that without one that exists still and with limited factory drawings, it's not the full set. There's a lot of areas that are a little bit of guesswork, to be honest with you, and you can't. There's no kind of like definitive answer. You've got to work through and really look very carefully at what's there. But it's I think we've really pushed it as hard as we can on that. We found one error on the kit so far, and it's very minor. It's very easy to fix, thank heavens. But the spring tab, the aircraft had trim tabs and spring tabs. So spring tab was something the British brought in right at the end of the war. You don't really hear much about it, but effectively it was a way of very quickly moving the control surfaces by having effectively a big trim tab on them, which you actually deflected the trim tab, and the trim tab then deflected the control surface. It meant that the late war British Spitfires were much more maneuverable than the German aircraft. They could roll, they could change the direction very, very quickly. Anyway, on the starboard side, we've molded the trim tab and the spring tab as the same part. So you've got to literally just put a line down, scribe a line on, and you're fine. But that's the only thing we found so far.
I don't think that's too bad, to be honest with you. I think that's remarkably. I think given how many things can go wrong with the de Havilland Hornet, Will, I think having to scribe a line is, it's not exactly a deal breaker.
No, I would hope not.
Mike Williams says a 30-second scale Fairy Firefly would complement the Sea Fury wonderfully.
Oh yes, again, it would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Fairy Firefly. How many colour schemes can you chuck at them?
That would be great to do. Unfortunately, there's only one Mark V in the UK, and it's quite difficult to get into the Fleet Air Arm Museum. compared to Duxford or the RAF Museum. So, if we do it, we'll be off to Australia or Canada or someone like that to scan it. But yeah, it'd be nice to do. It has to be said.
Now, you've got other projects in the works, some of which are at the design stage, some of which have progressed into actual, not test shots, but yes, actual kind of 3D printed and shots. So what are we looking at here? I think this is one of your forthcoming Spitfires, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the cockpit for the Mark 21. And we're moving to using injection molded plastic puts constraints on design. You've got the problem of undercuts. You've got the problem of part thickness, both upper and lower limits. You've got the draft angle issue as well. And 3D printing allows us to really kind of go beyond get around those. There are problems with 3D printing, though, the dimensional stability. So effectively, this is going to be a 3D printed part, or there's going to be a series of 3D printed parts, and that's going to fit inside effectively an injection molded fuselage. And there are locations you can't see them on the reverse side, because I think that we feel that we can deliver something that's really, really accurate. And this is painted up, really, really accurate for the modeler, and really true to scale, but also have all the benefits of an injection molded kit, the stability, the ease of construction, and so on and so forth. So that hybrid approach is something that we're looking to really, the Spitfire is going to be the first one we really pilot that on. But we try different things. We're going to see what works. We're going to see what doesn't, and see how we can carry on delivering accuracy, buildability at a reasonable price to the modeler.
That's interesting, because that's very similar to the approach Eduard seemed to be going down at the moment, which are hybrid kits. So the main components, the airframe, is injection molded, but a lot of the other bits and pieces, like the cockpit and some of the external stores and other accessories, are being 3D printed.
Yeah. And it does really bring it really brings advantages, because there's just like the limitations of injection molded plastic. If you've ever looked at a kit and wondered why that's done a certain way, invariably it's done because of the need to actually extract it. It's a production limitation on the technology, and if you can get around it, so much better. You can do levers, you can do pipes down to 0.25 millimeter, all kinds of things that make it look really, really good. And our aim really all the way through is to allow the modeler, at whatever level they are, to model at the next level above, and really kind of flatter them and kind of allow them to really deliver a really good result.
Chris, you must have a question.
Oh no, I think I think what I'm seeing is really great. I think the Hornet. I just sent Jonathan a couple of pictures of Hornet that has personal attachment to me, because my sister-in-law's father met his wife in New York City at the 1948 Air Exposition when the Royal Navy sent over a couple of. Yeah, and so he met Frida there while he was in New York, and then eventually became an American citizen. He passed away last year, but I was very pleased. We were at a family reunion, and of course I had a modeling magazine, and then it was a profile of the exact Sea Hornet he'd come over with. So
that's fantastic.
It's a really great story. I'll have to write it up, but Ed Grogan would have appreciated it if he was still around.
Brilliant. I mean, if the RAF Hornet sells, we will do a Sea Hornet, both an F-20 and a 421.
Yeah, I think this was I can't remember which market it was, but it was very straightforward Sea Hornet.
There we go. Yeah. That's what I was trying to cue up Chris's picture.
Sorry, it's so small.
What's the story behind that picture again, Chris?
So in 1948, the Royal Navy sent over a 4-airplane detachment. I think there were 2 Sea Furies, the Sea Hornet, and a Vampire. and they got to perform at Floyd Bennett Field as part of this Navy Air Show, combined U.S. and Royal Navy Air Show. And Ed was very pleased to say that the U.S. Navy, including its very early on Blue Angels, they were all limited in altitude and what they could do at the air show, but no such orders were issued to the Royal Navy. So of course they looked really great, flying super low and super fast. And yeah, that's one of the airplanes that Ed took care of while he was over here in the United States.
Oh, a Sea Hornet! Look at that! Oh
Yep.
my goodness me! What?
And, yep. So overall, high speed silver with those markings, just a classy looking airplane.
No, absolutely. You see, this is where I kind of diverge from Drew, who he doesn't like doing aircraft with wings folded. I think they look fabulous. It's something about it. I know it breaks up the shape of an aeroplane, but it just gives it that. Functionality. I don't know. There's something about. I noticed this with all the builds of the Airfix Gannet, that when people have done them with the wings folded, I think they look brilliant. I really, really do. Right, let's have a look at the next. We've managed to lose one of our screens here at the moment. So bear with whilst I go and get our main story back again. Right, here we go. So Will, you've also got you're doing these intakes. What are these for?
So these are integral to the Scimitar, and effectively intake tunnels. People generally loathe them. Getting rid of the join lines is a pain, and there's a bit of internal detail on the Scimitar one. So we're actually going to 3D print them as part of the kit. The Scimitar had a very complicated boundary-less splitter plate setup, which you can kind of just see on the inside of the intake there. And we toyed around with how to render it. And in the end, we just decided to do the whole thing in 3D printing. I think that the Scimitar is kind of a bit of a strange aircraft, because it started off as a straight wing, butterfly tailed aircraft with no undercarriage. And in the space of sort of 8 years, it became a heavy swept wing, area ruled aircraft with undercarriage and a conventional tail assembly. And so the engines are mounted literally, they were shifted up to allow for the undercarriage bay. So they're angled both, when you look in the intake, the engines are like, you look up the intake to look at the engines, and the engines themselves are kind of angled both horizontally and vertically to allow for the wheel well to be there. So it's such an interesting part. We thought, well, we've got to do it accurately in a way people will actually show off. So we thought, well, we'll just 3D print it. And it's by far and away the best way. And you'll see the way we've done that, all the seams, basically, bar a couple of small ones, are external. So easy to get out, to get rid of.
Now, these are CAD renders of your forthcoming Scimitar kit. What scales are you doing this in, Will?
So this is going to be in 48th and 72nd scale. The Scimitars are very, it's typically British. It's very overcomplicated. It's got lots of access hatches all over it. And as you can see, the dark areas are going to be 3D printed to get the look, and they'll fit from behind. We're going to really go to town and try and do it, but we're aiming to bring this in under the price of the Airfix Buccaneer. That's the plan anyway. And it's coming together. But the Scimitar is a big aircraft. It's the same size as the Phantom. It's 11-meter wingspan. It's surprisingly large when you actually get up close to it. 3D printing, without 3D printing, we were having a lot of conversations, having to make a lot of compromises. Once we started to put 3D printing in, we actually can do stuff like the assembly under the tail, which is quite complicated, and do it much better and much more accurately. And I think people will really like it. when it's there. It is my favorite aircraft. So I just can't wait to see it in plastic finally. And we're very close on it. We had a long session with the designer earlier last week, and there aren't that many issues to left to address now.
I don't think Supermarine ever made an aeroplane that wasn't good looking, quite frankly. I mean, you could argue, okay, the Walrus perhaps, but no, certainly when it came to their jets, things like the Scimitar and the Swift, just brilliant looking aeroplanes.
Yeah, I'd agree with the Scimitar. I've loved it since I was, probably 7. And someone gave me HMS Victorious in 1/600 scale with the little scimitars to move around the deck. It's a great looking aircraft. So an aircraft should look like.
Yes, it almost looks. It's very Phantom-esque, isn't it? But it's almost like it's Phantom-esque, but somebody kind of slimmed it up a bit, and it kind of looks like it's a good-looking Phantom. Let's put it that way. Sorry, Phantom fans, you know what I mean.
I think a couple of weeks ago, Jonathan, we said it looked like an F3H Demon they got right.
Yeah.
Yes. Andy King makes a very good point. He says, plus folded wings take up less shelf space too. Exactly. And we seem to have everybody's into wing folds here. There we go. Mark Thompson, he likes wing folds. Tim Perry, build both folded and open. And Paul Boyle makes the same point. Wing fold, 2 kits to build. And Ian Goldstraw said, again, Ian Goldstraw makes a very good point. Folded wings take up less space on the shaft as they do in real life on a carrier. And Mike Williams says the Scimitar is a big aircraft, almost F4 Phantom sized. Jeff Baker says Scimitar air brakes. That's one for you, Will.
There's 6 of them in 2 British fashion. Not being satisfied with a pair, there are 6 separate air brakes on a Scimitar.
Paul Voice says, I believe Airfix are very unlikely to tool the Scimitar. Bill Clark says the engineering of DBMK's kits are superb, and Bill should know because he's been building some of your tech shops.
He's done a great job, and we're really grateful to Bill. He's put a lot of kind of design input as well, which is great.
Russell Taylor, I disagree, Russell. The Attacker was pretty horrible. No, I quite like the Supermarine Attacker. And again, I think there's a market out there for one because Trumpeter absolutely balked to the one they did. Joe's, I think we've got a bit of an echo. Joe's M says, hi guys, there seems to be a lot of background sounds tonight. Just an observation. I've got on the microphones, I've got echo cancellation on at the moment, but I can hear it as well, and I think it's me. I think it's me echoing on Will's sound at the moment, but we will fine tune this in future. But yeah, here we go, folks. This is the projected DBMK Scimitar. It's 70-second scale and 48 scale. Oh, count me in. This just looks brilliant.
Yeah, this is fantastic. 70-second scale. I've got a bunch of 70-second scale attempts at Scimitars in my stash, and all of them are going to involve some kind of reshaping of different parts of the aircraft because they're never quite exactly captured. There'd be an issue or something else, and yeah, it tends to put you off starting the project. This does not, though.
It's a very difficult aircraft to capture shape-wise because it's got lots of compound curves, and a lot of the drawings are wrong. So the Scimitar has no dihedral. A lot of the kits, because it sits on, like, a lot of people, they see it on effectively launch position. They assume it's got a slight dihedral, like 10 degrees. It hasn't. Its wings are absolutely flat when you look from the front. And that's why we scanned it. It was the only way really to capture the shapes. I mean, it's like, you probably don't notice it, but the front of the aerofoil section is different from the inboard section to the outboard section. And the the leading edge is much sharper from the wing fence outwards than it is inboard. And so you've got lots of little things like that. And the only way to do that, to capture that, is through 3D scanning, really.
We've also got you've got some more Spitfires projected. Will, let's just add that to stage. There we go. So yes. I believe this is Elia has been working on these. These are resin test shots, and I think this is your Spitfire 21.
Yes. So this is actually Chris Sargent, who's been doing this from Skunkworks. He's been building the printing and building the Mark 21 for us. And it's a great looking aircraft. I saw it in the flesh on Friday, and it's really coming together. And it's a fascinating machine. It's like it's got the late Mark Griffin wings, the Griffin kind of Mark 14 fuselage, and a contra-rotating prop and a large rudder. So it's a real kind of mismatch. But it did see combat in the Second World War. It shot down another aircraft. So it's definitely a World War II aircraft, but then also was used post-war in some really quite funky schemes. So I had very little interest in the Mark 21, but as with all these things, the more you look into it, the more it's like, oh, that's absolutely fantastic. What a great subject to make a model of. And that's going to be probably the first one. And in the box, you're going to have either a 21 or a 45. Those are going to be the options.
Oh, C5 45. Now you've got my attention. Yes. And is this going to be a hybrid as well? Is this going to be a mix?
They're all going to be hybrid. From now on in, it's, if this works as we expect it to, then it's all going to be hybrid. It makes being able to free yourself for detailed parts from the limitations of injection molding really makes it makes things look materially better, so much better.
Yeah, Dave Fleming makes the comment: big admiration to DBMK to take a company from startup to production. And Russell Taylor says, will buddy refueling pods be included with the Scimitar?
Yes, they will, along with Redbeard. They may not be. We're thinking of a special weapons boxing to have both Redbeard and the buddy refueling pod. But yeah, no, I'm very keen to get that in there. We've been helped with scanning for both of those and the early nose as well, which has been great. Yeah, it's been we see the kits as very much coalitions of the willing, and David Jones has been fantastic in basically using photogrammetry to capture the shape for those three objects that are really finishing off the Scimitar and getting it super accurate. Accuracy really is a priority for us, and we're determined to really try to render things that are accurate, be it 3D printing, be it injection molding, or some other technology if it allows us to get there. Because we kind of figure that ultimately that's what we want. Is you want an accurate model. No one wants an accurate model. You also want something that's buildable, which is our second priority. But even if you have to make it, models have to pay a little bit of attention. At least if what you get at the far end is accurate, it's much better than spending ages on a kit and then finding out actually it doesn't actually look that great once it's together.
A bit of a fight broken out in the comments here. Dave Fleming says, don't like wing folds, but that's just me. Whereas Bruce Bell says, but I have wing folds for a Fleet Air Arm kit. So I'm with Bruce here. Absolutely. Just have a quick look. Russell Taylor says Raytog units for the C-Fire as well. We're going to come on to that now, because in a sideways thing, because you also have some late Mark Spitfires being designed as well at the moment, haven't you, Will?
Yeah, so we're going to do all of the two-stage, two-speed Griffin Spitfires. So 14, 18, 19, 21, 22, 24, 45, 46, and 47.
That is my favourite Spitfire variant, the Mark 14. I just think it's just got such beautiful balance to it, and I just think it's a fabulous looking aeroplane.
The more you look at the Griffon Spitfires, the later ones, the more you realise that they are the best looking Spitfires. A big engine that slopes down slightly. It's just like, it is perfect.
No, no argument here. These are CAD renders of your designs, which are still a work in progress.
Yeah.
But oh God, I love the 14 and 19. I just think are Spitfire perfection. And you've also, we'll just cycle through the CAD here. But you're also working on a bubble top one as well, which we are coming to. There we go. So a clipped wing bubble top version.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do all of them. So that's the 14E wing with the low back and the fighter recce camera out of the side. We'll also do one without the camera as well. So it's that's all in hand. The Spitfire is almost a bit like a Meccano set. There are various bits and pieces that really don't change between them, and it's almost like you combine various parts together to get the particular airframe that you're looking for. And I knew a reasonable amount about Spitfires beforehand, but I've learned a lot along the way. And from the pilot's notes, I now know what all the controls do. As I've had to kind of tell the designer, what should that look like, which has been, the research is probably the most fun part of this, actually.
No, absolutely. We've got some comments here. Tim Maunder says, brilliant. There we go. Tim Perry says, bless my aching credit card. Tim says, 322 squadron, please. And Andy King's got the zeitgeist here. He says, hi back, Mark 14C, smiley.
Oh, yes.
Kind of
there we go. That's in there. And the thing is that we haven't set the schemes yet for the kits. We're going to try and do as we've done with the Sea Fury, is put lots of schemes in the box. So you do a pretty wide range straight off the bat. And we're taking recommendations. So someone sent a fantastic picture, and I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name. It's on the Facebook, of someone they knew who's 101 who flew them in the Royal Auxiliary Air Force. I think it was 600 or 601 squadron. Red spinners, red codes, fantastic, and the City of London crest on the cowling. Love it, definitely. That will be one of the Mark 21s that's in the box.
Mike Williams says the Mark 24 Spitfire is just a superb looking aeroplane. Look forward to that one, especially finished as the bright red G-Fire as flown by Spencer Flack in the early 80s.
See, I think G-Fire was a 14, actually, not a 24.
Yeah, I think you're right, Will, because I do declare I think Airfix did that with their Mark 14 kit. I think they did, because I know I did the decals for that one. And Richard Graham says Supermarine Spitfire F-22-24 is my favourite. Just saying. Wayne Beatty says I love the late Mark Spit. Full stop. Will, it has been. Oh, here we go. Philip Jones says, you want recommendations? How about Seafires with Irish Air Corps decals? I'm with Phil. Absolutely.
I think that would be great, but I think they're Seafire 3s. I don't think they had anything with the late wing, unfortunately. Because I love that blue, that like bluey green colour that the Irish Air Corps had. No, I'd be, the late Mark Spitfire, that would be fantastic, but I don't think they had any, unfortunately.
Well, it has been an absolute honour to have you on the show tonight. You are, of course, more than welcome to come back anytime you want to. Anytime you want to talk about your range, there is a seat here for you. Let's put it that
that's
way.
very kind of you. Fantastic.
Anything else you want to add before we go on to part 2 of the show?
The only thing I'll say is that I'm very much looking forward to seeing you at our launch event at Navy Wings on the 16th of April, where we'll be making our next 2 announcements.
Ooh, no, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Middle of April, isn't it?
Yeah. Thursday, April 16th. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely brilliant. Will, really do appreciate you giving your time tonight and talking to everybody here. And we look forward to having you on the show again in the future. And the very best of luck with DBMK, because I think you're hitting all the right buttons at the moment. So
fantastic. Well, look, thank you very much for that. It's been a pleasure. And I hope people have enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Will. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you again very, very soon. That was good, wasn't it, Chris?
Sure was. No, there's a lot of promising stuff there. I think that I build 72nd scale exclusively, so that Scimitar really sort of pushes a button for me, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in the future as far as bringing some of these underrepresented subjects to life. And it's nice to have an enthusiast running the show versus somebody who's necessarily committed to the financial part. You have to pay attention to that, but you also need to have the love of what you're doing in order to make that financial part work.
Yeah. Paul Pendleton Brown says, for more DBMK model kits goodness, Will is a guest on our latest episode of Beyond the Box Art podcast. There we go.
Great.
I'm just having a quick look. Jeff Baker says, looking forward to a nice 72nd scale Scimitar. I am as well, because I remember building the late, great Mike Eacock's Skybird's 86 Scimitar back in checks notes 1990. Yeah, that wasn't easy. It was even Mike wrote in the instruction notes about the fact that you are going to have to get a razor saw out in some places, and yeah, you did. So I think a Scimitar would just brilliant. Of course, I'm going to be biased. My family have a long history in the Royal Navy. My maternal grandfather was on Invincible. Dad was on Indefatigable. I'm a Navy boy, so I am going to be biased. Right, Chris, shall we leap on with the news?
Yes.
And well, goodness me, look at this. This is Airscale, and they are adding a bubble top Typhoon to their range. And this is what it says: introducing a new addition to the family. We've developed a bubble top conversion for the 32nd scale Typhoon kit, and have the clear parts coming from the DBMK Sea Fury. Thanks, Will. We decided to introduce a kit bundle for the conversion and to offer the standalone conversion to existing customers only. They and bundle pre-orders will get the 44-gallon wing tanks. Otherwise, the kit is a conversion and will just come with 8 rockets. Should be out in April. The set includes new sidewalls and door infills, new exhaust, new cuckoo clock radiator and dust filter, new windshield and blown canopy from the DBMK Sea Fury kit, new rear deck parts, new gun sight mount, RP3 rockets and rails, 44-gallon external fuel tanks, exclusive to customers, and bundle pre-orders. Again, we're overusing the superlatives tonight, but the Hawker Typhoon, what an aeroplane!
Yes, no, I really like this this pairing. Obviously, the Corridor one I think took a little more engineering to get done as a kit, and so the move to the bubble top is kind of natural, and obviously the bubble top saw a lot more service. So good for them doing this. I think this is really a nifty thing, and I can see a lot of people building both of these. Why not have a scene with the, a squadron in transition from the corridor to the bubble top,
No, I absolutely agree. Typhoon is just one of my favorite airplanes. I haven't built as many as I would have liked to down the years, but it's just I don't know what it is. It's just it's kind of half hurricane, but half brute, isn't it? It's quite muscular.
That gigantic beard radiator makes it look. It's not like pointy like most fast things are. It's decidedly not. But it is got it's got that huge thick wing too. But it's like the A-10 Thunderbolt of its era. It's got a purpose, and it's got a lot of utility. And Typhoon shot down a lot more airplanes than people think. People always think the second Tactical Air Force shooting rockets at things. That was a lot of that happened, but it also shot down plenty of airplanes.
No, absolutely. Another all-time classic. This is MMR in conjunction with IBG, and they're saying this year marks the 90th anniversary of the maiden flight of the legendary Spitfire prototype K5054. We have collaborated with MRM Studio to prepare a special limited edition model with only 400 copies available for each set. The body of the model is based on the IBG plastic kit, but in practice, this means a completely new design. Each element has been redesigned to faithfully reflect all the differences between the early prototype and the later production machines. In order to show this evolution, the entire project was created using high-quality 3D printing technology, and the set is enriched with a vac form canopy. This solution uses printed frames that are applied to the transparent part without the need for traditional masking during painting. Techmog took care of the decals, and for modelers who prefer painted markings, we will also provide mask designs for DIY projects. The entire edition includes two different the set is complemented rather by a 3D printed test pilot figure, allowing the model to be represented in a more dynamic historical scene. And that's just so. Yes, this is. I think essentially, I'm guessing that MRM have probably had the IBG CAD and been able to modify that into K5054. I know I say this every week, but yet another shiny thing has come along and it's grabbed my attention because I would love to build a model of the first Spitfire.
Yeah. I think if you're a Spitfire fan, this is you should probably have one of these in your collection. It's the literally the grandfather of all of them, and it's interesting
how the first of the few.
Yeah, and it's interesting how much simpler this is compared to like the 21s and the 14s we saw just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, there's a certain kind of purity to it, isn't there? And especially with the two-bladed prop, it's still got 1 foot in the biplane era.
Yeah.
But no, this is going to be entirely 3D printed. So this will be interesting to see how this compares with the standard IBG kits, of which I have got to get one at some stage. So again, he's got thousands of kits up in the attic, but he's still looking at buying new ones. So shiny object syndrome, Chris. Shiny objects.
Yep.
Right. Let's die. Oh, we've got some comments here. Let's just read the comments. Vincent Blackburn sums it up. What a super time we are in right now.
Yep.
Absolutely. Tim Perry says, I have all Mike Eacock's design notes for the Scimitar. Man was a genius. He was. And Bill Clark says, way to go with cross-kitting different manufacturers' parts. That's interesting, that MRM IBG Spitfire. Mike Williams, I agree with Mike. 3D printing and hybrid kits are the future, it seems. Excellent stuff. Right. Special Hobby. We've not had Special Hobby on this show for some time, and they are going to release a 72nd scale TP40N. Guess what, boys and girls? You can see what the TP stands for, can't you? It's a two-seater.
The trainer version.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I don't know if these were factory made, but I think they may have been field conversions. But
yes.
But yeah, really interesting. The long tail P40s with a second seat in the back. So no quarter light panels to futz around with. That's nice.
No, it's yeah. Gosh, I hate those bits on P40s. Special Hobby say we already have box art from Stander Hajek available. This is so that you can look forward to it. The SH72543 kit is planned for August and will combine 3D printed and plastic parts. And we got some pics of the real thing. In fact. Look at that. Look, that picture is pretty much it's spot the box art, isn't it?
Wow. Nice.
So we've got some photos of TP40Ns. I like that one because I thought for a moment it had an RF fin flash on it. It's not. It's just the metal work on it. But yeah, I like that kind of wonky anti-glare panel, and is that one called Toby? I've got a friend called Toby. I should build that for him. But I do love P40s as well, Chris. I am utterly inspired tonight by the fact that we've got all these kits coming out, and
yeah, there's opportunities to build the things you always wanted to build, right? It's I think for a lot of people, if they are fans of one kind of airplane, there's always been one variant they've wanted to build, but it's not easy to convert, or just there's no kit available for it, period. And we're not there anymore. If you want to do a TP40 or the Spitfire prototype from a dedicated kit, it's now available. And I think that goes to the fact that there's so many models out there and so many model companies and people producing so many interesting things trying to compete for your attention, which is great.
What I'm going to say is there are subjects that I would dearly like to see as as models, as kits rather, but also the number of times that a kit is released of something that I am wholly ignorant of, and suddenly I've got to have one.
Yeah.
Which I like the fact that this hobby can still spring surprises on me. In fact, we're gonna come to one in a second, which has made me go, ooh. Again, very Kenneth Williams. Right, we've got this is Beacon Hobby, and they've got a very interesting range of models, by the way, everybody. So it's worth going out and having a look at them. But they're also talking about doing a 48 scale Henschel 129. So this is on top of the ones that we're already getting from Tacom and ICM, I believe. Was it ICM? I'm sure that if I've got that wrong, somebody will correct me.
Yeah.
But this is interesting again because it seems to be showing the injection molded parts seem to be single piece slide molded, almost complete fuselages. So that's going to be interesting to see how that manifests itself as a finished kit.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about how big the Hornet is. The Henschel 129, a surprisingly small aeroplane, Chris.
Oh yeah, it's the exact flip side. And the fact that is that the B2R2 with the 30mm cannon? Giant weapon, tiny airplane.
It's almost like the precursor to the A-10, isn't it? It was an aeroplane built around a gun.
And a tiny cross section looking forward onto the fuselage. partially for protection of the pilot. I think the story of the engines on this thing are the most fascinating because they started as those terrible Argus engines, and then they used captured French engines, I think Lerone engines on them.
Yep. I'm just having a look to see what the notes say here. No, there's no more notes on this, but terrific looking aeroplane. It really is, and it'll be interesting to see how, like I say, how that molding does eventually manifest. Beautiful box art as well. So, winner, Christmas dinner. We've also got a couple of conversion sets here for your Tamiya F-14D. So, let's try it again. There we go. So this is RAF AVI or RAF AVI. I don't know how you pronounce that. They're doing a conversion kit from the 72nd scale Tamiya F-14D. Oops, let's go back again. 72nd scale Tamiya F-14D into an F-14A. I would imagine a Mr. Manton of this parish is probably made his ears prick up. These are 3D printed parts. These look quite tasty, don't they?
They sure do. No, I've got piles of Tomcat decals just waiting for a chance to go on a model. So this is really exciting. Not just D's, also lots and lots of A's. Very colorful A's.
It's made me realize that I haven't built as many Tomcats as I should have down the years, and I'm running out of years, quite frankly. So I've really got to build a Tomcat at some stage. Another one. I built 2 in the last 10 years, but these look brilliant. But we're not done with backdating the Tamiya D into an A, because not only do we have RAF AVI, I don't know how you pronounce that, but we also have Model Link are doing the same. A conversion set to take the Tamiya 72nd scale D back to an F-14A. And these are resin cast as opposed to 3D printed. And they're also doing one of those kind of, I don't know how you call it, kind of relief printed cockpit sets there. So it's not quite a decal, but it's got a little bit of depth to it. Somebody will come up with the correct term for that. And here are some of the parts. So you get the open and closed nozzles. Oh no, we've run out of pictures. But yes, so 2 sets to backdate the Tamiya D to an A.
That's awesome. That's great. It's nice to see the option out there for people if they want to, pick their level of complexity and what really works for them. And I think that the A model has a lot going for it. Like I said, a little longer history with the colorful markings.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now for something completely different. This is Dan Models, and they're doing in 35th scale. Oops, let's get that back again. In 35th scale, they are doing 3D printed buckets.
Love it. Every armored vehicle needs one of these hanging off of it.
That was when back 6 years ago, checks notes, when Spencer and I were doing the challenges, that became my stock cliche. Was if I wanted to kind of add something to the challenge build, it would usually be a bucket hanging off a tow hook or something. So they're doing a set of buckets, apparently 10 buckets in a pack, and different designs as well. So there we go. I don't know when they say 10 pieces, is that, I don't know if that means 10 pieces as in 5 buckets and 5 handles. I'll have to ask them for clarification on that. But there are your standard buckets, and then they're doing a set of dented ones.
Oh, great. Good thinking.
Yep, which I know from personal experience. I do have an aluminium bucket in the garden, and yes, it has got whacked down the ears, and yeah, it could do with reshaping. But yeah, again, 3D printing, it's bringing something unique to our hobby.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like I say, I run out of my Tamiya buckets because I used them all up on the challenges now. So, right, we're rattling on to the last few news items. This is slightly barking, or should I say howling. This is a 72nd scale set of werewolves. That should be werewolves, not werewolves. And this is from Dark Alliance. And they say, Dark Alliance, I'll try not to do it in my 1950s voice, but Dark Alliance brings us a set of 72nd scale injection molded werewolves for your dioramas. There are mostly wolf versions, half wolf, half human versions, mostly human versions, even a couple of hunter type characters who, for copyright reasons, we're not going to say it's what's his name? Oh gosh, I've got his blessed name now. Van Helsing, though. It was Hugh Jackman. It's not Hugh Jackman, and yeah, definitely not Hugh Jackman, folks. The set contains a total of 40 figures in 10 different poses, and there we go. Each figure is unpainted, and each comes with a base. Order yours today. People, long-term viewers to the show, will probably think that has got to be the most bizarre thing we've ever featured on the Sunday service. Stay tuned for any other business, because we are getting into the realms of the truly bizarre in a minute. Right, let's rattle through the last two news items. Oops, try it again. This is a company called Avis. They're doing an injection molded Messerschmitt M23A. Now, this was a 1920s two-seater sports aircraft designed by Willy Messerschmitt. At the time in Europe, aircraft engine manufacturers hosted their own air races to showcase their technological prowess, competing exclusively with aircraft powered by their own engines. Willy Messerschmitt's Bayerische Aviation Werkzeug BFW designed the M23 to be compatible with a variety of engines for each race, and they participated in multiple races. It achieved numerous prestigious victories. Just like the real aircraft, this kit allows you to select from 3 different engines during assembly: the Salmson AD9, the ABC Scorpion, or the AS Gennet. And we'll just cycle through some of the pictures. There is a prize-winning aeroplane as well. That's just a general arrangement drawing. To be honest with you, Chris, up until this morning, I'd never heard of the Messerschmitt M23A.
No,
I want one.
Yeah, these are cool. I have some kits from other manufacturers like Decno of these really early Messerschmitt racing types or sport types, and they have a lot of character to them. They're really cool.
Yep. I'm just having a look at some of the comments here. The buckets have struck a chord. Everyone's a comic. That's buckets of work. He's having another run at this. That's a bucket full of work. Travis says, "Love me some buckets. Just put a SPAL one with a rag and some X22 on my 109 diorama." Dave Swindle says, "There's no market for buckets these days. Small profits. I've got to catch up with small profits." And looks like someone went at those buckets with a hammer. Well, talking of how, and Lox9 says, "Is that the Wolfman?" It was the Wolfman. And Dave Fleming wins the best comment for the night. Those buckets are a little pale. I think, Dave, you should have said those buckets are a little beyond the pale, and then you would have won a prize. But there are no prizes. So so that's the Messerschmitt M23, my new favourite aeroplane. It's got to be said. Right, and finally tonight. You thought the werewolves were the oddest thing we've ever had on this show. Brace yourselves, folks, because Green Stuff are doing a range of 3D printed skulls. Make no bones about it. Gets my joke in. Make no bones about it. They are doing 3D printed skulls. And I'm just going to read you what they say. A 3D printed set of 1,000 skulls, 1,000 in 48th and 35th scale. So they're doing this set, which is kind of human skulls. And it's grim stuff, isn't it? But they're doing them with helmets as well, which I do remember. I think we said this before the show. I do remember a diorama in 5-scale modeler, and it was a World War I trench, and at the bottom of a muddy kind of shell hole was a skull. It was quite grim, but there we go. I don't know what you'd use them for, but.
Sure, you can use your imagination. Yeah.
Yep. So here we go. Battlefield Skulls Humans. There they are. Three plates of skulls. 28 different models. 1,000 pieces. And these sell for 5,900 Japanese yen, which works out about 25 quid, 25 pounds. You're probably thinking that's really bizarre, JM. But this is their next set that they're doing in 35th and 48th scale, Battlefield Skulls Creatures. Now, this does veer into slightly more fantastical elements because you've got what appear to be kind of orcs and other kind of horror things going on there, but we also appear to have some animals there, including a T-Rex. There you go, Chris.
Yeah, that looks like that, a Tyrannosaurid, and there's some kind of looks like a cat over the far right side, and a horse, which is actually kind of useful for military modeling. You could find a use for that on a diorama someplace. And interesting stuff. And it's I may have to find somebody in my club who builds more fantasy things to share a set like this with.
Yeah, we appear to have a T-Rex there. We appear to also have a couple of aliens as well. In fact, we appear to have an alien from Alien there. So, and there we go, 300 pieces, and there are 2 plates and a separate one for the T-Rex head. I think that wins the prize for the most bizarre thing we've ever featured on the show, and finally. But
it's kind of interesting, I could see myself taking that T-Rex skull and painting it up and putting it into a diorama with some 35th scale figures who are uncovering it. That would be kind of cool.
Talking of your models, Chris, you have been putting paint onto your Ventura, haven't you?
Yeah, this week has actually been very productive. It's been painted for a while. I got the finish kind of down last week. This week we got the landing gear on and the landing gear doors, which are scratch built. The tanks from the kit, but they're reworked, and the bomb bay doors, which are also scratch built. So you have the open bomb bay, and they couldn't just Lockheed just couldn't have a nice 2 set of doors that open up like this. They had to have these things that retracted in halves on the side to side. So that was fun putting this together. I got the underwing lights on it. I'm on the verge of getting it finished, which means and also the guns, the 50 calibers in the nose. So, and also the sliding windows on the cockpit. I put those in there this week too. that was a nice thing because I didn't have to try to fit the vacuum form canopy. There's the Bombay. You can see that with the Tokyo tank in there that I made, and the reworked wheel wells, and the little MV lenses are actually they're now made by AK Interactive. They make 1.5 millimeter lenses that look really nice, and yeah, it's coming along. You can see the hole in the nose there. That's where the pitot boom goes, or the pitot tube, and there'll be a DF loop ahead of that in front of the camera window. And the wheels there are 3D printed items that are going to be part of the Obscureco line when I get a chance. You can see they're sort of rotated in a weird way because I had to wait to secure them completely until I had the model on a flat surface, and then I would center them for the flat points and then secure the brake lines. So yeah, it's
I'm going to sound horribly ignorant here, Chris. Are those P47 drop tanks or are they P38 drop tanks?
I think I can't remember the time. There's Obscureco puts them out as their Lightning tanks. Those aren't the Obscureco tanks. Those are the kit tanks reworked because the pylons are integrally molded to them. But they were the same type carried by the P38 and also by other aircraft, including the Corsair on certain U.S. aircraft carriers. So very widely used tank that's not as well known as other stuff. But yeah, if you've built a P38, you've probably seen these tanks. And there you get to see a little bit of the landing gear stuff and the gear doors and whatnot, and all those little doodads. And there's the engines in there. I think those are quick boost engines that have been spruced up a little bit with some ignition wiring and piston rod or push rods and stuff like that. And you can see the brake lines. The brake lines on these things are pretty prominent. So nice, and it's good getting to this point because a lot of the stuff was assembled and waiting to go for a very long time.
How did you do the brake lines? Is that soldering wire or whatnot?
Yeah, it's lead wire. I think I can't remember who sells. Somebody sells it. Oh gosh, it's slipping my mind. But they sell 3 different diameters of it. So you've got it's kind of fine, medium, and thick, which is not particularly thick. It's still pretty small. And that's nice because there are some other wires on there. There's some control wires. There's a sensor that goes down to the landing gear that's much thinner wire, and that's on there too. Yeah, and then there's actually doubled hydraulic lines to the brakes on this plane. So that was fun figuring out how to do that. It's actually pretty easy. You take the 2 pieces, you put them on your bench, and you carefully put some thin super glue on there, CA glue on there, and it'll bind them together. And then you can bend them, and you can leave one end unattached so you can make those curves separate, and then just bend it over like a paintbrush, and pick the right diameter paintbrush and then bend it, and you're good to go.
That's the 72nd. Get me teeth in. That's the 72nd scale Academy kit from first released. Checks notes 1987.
Yeah. I've been on a spree of building really old models, which is
nothing wrong with that.
Well,
because I can remember the advert on Scale Modeler for that, and Academy were really. I will dig it out, and I know exactly where I can find that advert. I know exactly what issue, but they were going on about the retail price and recessed panel lines, and of course, if you wanted to build a Ventura in the mid 1980s, your only hope was to sell an organ and get hold of a copy of the Frog kit.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want to do that, quite frankly.
No, I think the Ginter book has pictures of built up Academy versus Frog kits, and the difference is pretty stark.
Yeah, we've got the comedians are here tonight. Dave Fleming says, "Is that a Hamlet spin-off?" Travis Thompson says, "Terminator vignette sorted." Darth Bilius says, "Great for a Paths of the Dead diorama." John Huston says, "Heady stuff." SPF Parker, winner here. "Are the skulls a no-brainer?" You think that was the best comment, but Mike Williams wins with human skulls. They're off their heads. Richard Graham says, nobody knows. And then Dave Fleming brings the mood down with French Revolution diorama. Anyone? Really, David? For goodness sake.
Yeah, I was looking at those trays of skulls. It looked like a very organized version of the Killing Fields.
Oh, let's not go there. Right, Chris. Any other business?
None from me, thank you.
Okay. Mike Williams says plus model do lead wires, and Andy King says 15 amp fuse wire works too. And Vincent Blackburn says crisp Ventura. And Vincent Blackburn has just reminded me that I completely, when he says crisps, I'm thinking of, what do you call them in America?
Potato chips. Yeah.
Potato chips.
Yeah.
Vincent has just reminded me when I was down in Lidl this afternoon, I forgot to get my wasabi mix snacks. So I do like my wasabi mix. And Paul Voyle, there we go. Ace Ventura. Very good. Very good. Right.
Thanks.
On that note, big thank you to everybody who's tuned in tonight. God bless you. And obviously a massive shout out to Will from DBMK for joining us tonight. And we look forward to talking about his kits more in the future. Fingers crossed, we'll be back next Sunday for another Sunday service. I'm hoping we might get Ian on to do a car service, but we're negotiating that at the moment. So, but until then, as always, thank you for giving up an hour and 20 minutes of your precious lives tonight. I do appreciate it. We do appreciate it. Until the next time, stay safe, stay out of trouble, build a model for goodness sake. Come on. It's a great hobby. Yep. It's such a great hobby. Chris is wagging his finger at you. So
and don't forget next week the Models for Veterans event.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, absolutely. So until next time, as ever, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.